In the distant future, the Earth is at war with a race of giant alien insects. Little is known about the bugs except that they are intent on the eradication of human life. But there was a time before war. A mobile infantry travels to a distant alien planet to take war onto the bugs. They're a ruthless enemy with only one mission: survival of their species.
No matter what the cost, ...
What's going on, Maraudians? Welcome back. So for a couple months, Starship Troopers has been looking at me the wrong way on Netflix, so I decided to take a little gander at it and see what it's all about. This is my bread and butter right here. I love reviewing movies. I love filmography. I love everything that goes into it, you know what I'm saying? I'm a casino enjoyer myself. I'm an American gangster enjoyer, if you guys have seen those movies, The Last Samurai, all those good movies. I forget what movie review I was doing a long time ago. But one of the choices, I was choosing between three movies, and one of the choices was Starship Troopers, and it looked so fucking stupid that I didn't even want to, like, I actively called out in the video that how dumb it looked, and then one of the comments said Starship Troopers is peak. Now, this was months ago, so, like I said, this movie's been looking at me the wrong way for a long time now, so I finally clicked on it, and I was completely fucking correct. This movie is absolute dog shit. Now, is the casting absolutely insane because they got the most beautiful woman alive, Denise Richards? Now, don't get me wrong. Denise Richards, this girl right here, she's absolutely gorgeous. She's a fucking bombshell, but she does somewhat resemble a largemouth bass, like an 8 to 12 pound largemouth bass that you would get in a trophy fishing competition. But don't let that distract you from the fact that she's like in the top 1% of beautiful women, but she does have those bass-like features. I don't know why I brought that up, but I just wanted to, get that out into the public. And then there's this other, let me go, I'll catch you guys in a second. I gotta go see the names of the cast real quick. So you got Casper Van Dern or whatever the fuck his name is. He's like the main protagonist guy. You got Denise Richards, who's his like bitch, like his main go-to shorty. And then you have, what was her name? Diana Meyer. So this movie, whoever was like casting this movie chose the baddest bitches, because even, the main character, Casper Van Bjorn or whatever his name was, his mom, even in the movie, is bad. And she's like 50 years old, and she looks like a MILF that I'd plow on any fucking Thursday. Basically, what the movie's about is it's kind of like a dystopian, futuristic drama where these people are straight out of high school. They just finished high school and all that. You can either be a civilian, which is just someone that like goes out into the world like a motherfucker like you or me, or you could be a citizen is what they call it, and that's when you like sign up and you're basically in the army. There's like the fucking ground troops, like the grunts. There's Air Force pilots. There's fucking military intelligence. There's all that good shit. Oh, and I forgot to mention Neil Patrick Harris is in this movie. Goddamn Neil Patrick Harris. I hate this actor. I watched How I Met Your Mother for all of 3 episodes, and I couldn't get through it because of how dumb this fucking guy's character was. He just pisses me off just looking at his face. I've only got halfway through this movie because I fell asleep because of how boring it was, but so far, Neil Patrick Harris has been in this movie for all of 2.5 minutes. He's barely in this shit. I don't know what the deal is with him. I don't know if he's going to come up later in the film. But this is Neil Patrick Harris we're talking about. Now, I don't know if in 1997 this was like one of his first movies or anything, but you would expect a blockbuster actor like this jackass to be in the movie for more than 2 minutes, 35 seconds. I don't know. I just wanted to throw that in there. Now, the main character, Johnny Rico, the only reason he signs up to become a citizen instead of just a normal civilian is because he's following his girl. Now, his girl right here, he loves her, but she does not love him back. She's a cheating, conniving, scummy, under-the-table, hand-job-given broad. Like, we do not like her because there was one point where Johnny Rico was like, "Baby, I love you." And she didn't even say it back. And he was like, "Come on, say it back. Try it on for size." And she said, "I love you." And you could tell she didn't mean that shit. And then she left and went to fucking space camp to be a pilot. And then 2 seconds, she becomes a pilot. 2 seconds later, she's plowing this guy to our right here. So she did not love Johnny Rico. She's plowing this guy 2 seconds. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's a handsome motherfucker. But within 2 minutes, she's plowing him. So she didn't really like Johnny Rico. Now, there's this other girl, Diana Meyer. I'm not sure what her name is in the movie. Let me go check. I should have checked before I started. All right, so her name in the movie is Dizzy Flores. So Dizzy really likes Johnny Rico. Like, she's in love with him. But Johnny Rico's trying to plow fucking Denise Richards over here, whatever her name is. So now you get the whole love dynamic of the movie. Let's get into the nitty-gritty about how shitty this movie is. First of all, the acting is terrible. This cast could not act their way out of a fucking wet paper bag. It's ridiculous. And that's kind of what you got to expect from Starship Troopers. Even like the first intro scene where it was like a flash cut of what happens later on in the movie, then it does a time jump back in time to see how we led to those events. It like was supposed to be an attention grabbing like alien versus human battle, and it was just boring as fuck. Like, it was a little bit gory, so that was cool, but other than that, it just did not set the movie up to be something that you would think is entertaining. So they graduate high school, they get to military boot camp, and basically once that happens, we focus in on what the boot camp is really like. So there's this one drill instructor, and like the first introduction we get to the drill instructor is he's like, there's like 5 lines of 50 soldiers in each line going back, if you could imagine that. And the drill sergeant's like, if any of you think you could beat me in a fight, step up right now. And this fucking big guy, this big brolic dude's like, I can do it, sir. He comes up, the fucking drill instructor puts him on his ass, breaks his arm in front of everyone, and then goes, medic! So that's how you know the drill instructor's really about it. He was breaking arms off rip of these cadets. Like, they had no idea what was coming. And then for the next 20 minutes of the movie, it's like the people in the boot camp, the grunts, they're getting to know each other. So fucking Johnny Rico, he's like working his way up through, because he's the main character, so you know he's going to make like leader of the team, and he does. But that's short-lived, because as he's leading the team for his first expedition, some guys on his team is having a helmet malfunction, and Johnny Rico's like, take the helmet off so we could fix it. Dude takes the helmet off, immediately gets his fucking...
What wig pushed back?
Bro, it was ridiculous. Dude takes his helmet off under Johnny Rico's supervision. Johnny Rico should not have told him to take his helmet off. That's, as team leader, you cannot be doing that. For some reason, the punishment that they did for Johnny Rico for being a bad team leader is he had to get 10 lashings. So he got whipped in the back 10 times by some black guy. It was like they were doing some sort of reverse 17th century shit, but I was fucking with it still. Johnny Rico's girl officially breaks up with him over like a Skype video chat. Like, this movie is so dumb. Like, if I'm just telling you the events in the sequence that they happened, and I know it doesn't make sense, but that's just what it's. The movie's called fucking Starship Troopers. It came out in 1997, and clearly all the director was focused on was hiring a fucking stacked bad bitch cast. So after the lashing scene happens, Johnny Rico's really on a downslide. He doesn't think he's cut out for this citizen life. He thinks, I was a team leader for a day. I got a guy's head fucking exploded. I was a team leader for a day. Some guy got the meat smacked out of his taco. And, I'm clearly not cut out for this shit. So he's about to walk and leave boot camp and just go back to regular civilian life. All of a sudden, tragedy in Buenos Aires. Now, that's where Johnny Rico's from. His whole family's in Buenos Aires. And as you can see, you can barely see it through there, but the narrator says, Buenos Aires has been wiped off the earth. Some sort of, they're fighting these bugs in this movie. That's the main people that they're fighting. And I guess they like nuked the earth or something, and they wiped Buenos Aires off the map. So that means that all of Johnny Rico's family just got absolutely eviscerated. Dude, Johnny Rico doesn't shed a single tear that his parents just got turned into fucking dust. He granted, it gets him back into the fight. He was about to leave boot camp, but now he's like, all right, I'm back in the mix. Let's fuck up these bugs. But like, he doesn't shed a tear that his mom and dad just got turned into fucking wood chips in Buenos Aires. Like 8 million people died. He couldn't give 2 shits. So that's just a weird plot point where it's like, does he have no emotions? Because his girl just broke up with him. All right, a girl that he claimed he loved. He gets 10 lashings for being a dumb piece of shit leader and getting a dot put on some guy's head like he was Hindu. And then 3, his parents get turned into fucking paste in Buenos Aires. Not one tear has been shed. I think, in fact, he was more upset about his bitch breaking up with him than his parents getting fucking blown off into the fucking mesosphere. So, I don't know. It's just the movie doesn't make sense. Granted, like I said, it does have the bailout of the fact that it's Starship Troopers, and we know going into it, because of the name, it's going to be a shitty, dumb movie. But still, I mean, make it make a little bit of sense. You know what I mean, guys? So Johnny Rico and the fucking stupid squad finally get their first real mission. They go to this bug planet to fight the bugs, and they were not ready for the wrath that the bugs were about to put on them. The bugs put up like a 2016, 2015 Conor McGregor performance on Johnny Rico and the clan. They were just putting spikes through the bugs have these like spike arms. They were spiking through people, killing them, ripping people apart. All sorts of nonsense. And then Johnny Rico gets a nice little fucking pincer through his leg. Now they got Johnny Rico in the think tank. They're healing him in there because, like I said, he got a pincer through the leg. So he's in this like mysterious, ominous green water getting healed. And, Johnny Rico doesn't die. He's the main character. We know this. So although he gets a pincer through his quadricep, he lives. So Johnny Rico did his time in the think tank. He got his quadricep recovered. They like sewed that shit back together or something. It was a big gaping wound. It looked like it was gaping like the C gap after fucking, oh man, whatever. Couldn't think of a joke, guys. Sorry about that. I was gonna make like a football reference, but I just couldn't. I was gonna make like a joke about how you get a big gaping hole when an offensive line clears space for the running back, but it's like that's such a niche reference, and I also couldn't think of an O lineman to name, so that joke fell flat on its face. So that might stay in the video. I don't fucking know, but anyway. John Rico's finally plowing this girl that's been trying to plow him since the beginning of the movie because, I don't know, there's been this whole love triangle thing with Denise Richards, Johnny fucking Rico, and then this girl, I forget her name, and she's been wanting him the whole movie. Now they're finally making love, sweet, sweet love. So her tits are out right now, and, you know, they're just getting to action. And this is kind of because I already watched the movie. I'm watching it back now. I finished it. This is the the part of the movie where the tone kind of turns and it gets a little more sad because everybody starts dying. All right, these bugs are ripping people apart. So let's see where this Starship Trooper movie takes us. All right, so the girl that was plowing Johnny Rico, her name's Dizzy in this movie, Dizzy Flores. So Dizzy there was this whole scene where they found this outpost that had been overrun by the bugs, and there was a ton of dead bodies there of like soldiers that were there hours prior that ended up getting their shit pushed in by these bugs that they're fighting. They arrive, there's no bugs, but just a bunch of dead bodies. So they take over the outpost, Johnny Rico and his clan, take over the outpost and start fortifying it to fight for when the bugs come back. And it's a bloody, bloody, bloody fight. We see like there's this one overview shot of the landscape. There's like 1 trillion bugs. So they're getting completely overrun. They have zero chance. So they decide they want to retreat. Then that's when Denise Richards, she gets a call to come in because she's like a pilot. She comes in with her plane and picks them up. And as she's picking them up to get them off this island because the bugs are just absolutely taking over, dude. It was a madness. It was like World War Z. That's what it looked like. World War Z when the zombies are climbing up the fucking wall. That's how many bugs there were. Fucking Dizzy Flores over here gets a nice little pincer through the chest. He gets picked up and like flaunted around, then put down, and then Johnny Rico runs out, grabs her, brings her back into the plane. They take off, and then Dizzy dies. So at least Johnny Rico got to pipe before she died, but it is sad. I wanted them to live happy ever after, but you know, this is a movie, and shit like that doesn't happen in these films. Neil Patrick Harris has re-entered the fray. Like I said before, he was barely in this movie, but towards the latter half, like the last fourth or fifth of the movie, he comes in a little bit more. So he takes his screen time throughout the movie from 2.5 minutes from the first 3/4 of the movie to maybe 4 minutes throughout the whole movie. So Neil Patrick Harris barely gets any fucking screen time. But he was all happy-go-lucky in the beginning of the movie. Then he becomes a military intelligence agent or some shit. And he's like in charge of the soldiers who he sends to these battlefields. And he sends these soldiers to the battlefields knowing that they're going to get overrun and die. But he sends them there to like test to see if they can learn anything about the bugs, if that makes sense. So now he was this happy-go-lucky guy. Now he's like war-torn, like hardened, really sad, emotionless because he's like in charge of sending people to their deaths basically. So he was a cool dude at the beginning of the movie. Now he's just absolutely whitewashed. He's like a bland, emotionless human at this point. This movie's really stupid. You know, it gets to the point where there's this one like master, the president of bugs, the fucking cult leader of the bugs. And his whole job is like to suck people's brains out. As you can see, this guy's getting his fucking prefrontal cortex taken out as we speak. So the whole point of the movie is they're fighting these bugs. They think the bugs might have intelligence. They want to know what the bug intelligence is so they can then defeat them. And we find out that there's these bugs that are shaped like worms. This movie's so stupid. There's these bugs that are shaped like worms, kinda, and they have this little fucking nodule that they put out of their mouth to suck human brains out to get smarter. And they just found that out or some shit. I don't know. Like, I'm getting tired of this review. This movie sucks. The movie's done. They figured out that the bugs have intelligence, and they figured out a way to stop them. So they end the movie on the humans having somewhat of a win, but it hints at the war is still going on. So I'm like, the war's still going on. I look it up. There's like 5 Starship Trooper movies. I don't know if they're all I don't think they're with the same cast because the people look different on the covers. But bro, 5 Starship Troopers movies as if one was not completely, unequivocally enough. This movie was 2 hours long, almost exactly, and they could have done it in 45 minutes at most. And also, I looked up, while I got you here, I looked up the fucking, the budget for Starship Troopers. Guess if it's over $90 million. It's $105 million. Now, I don't really know shit about movie budgets, but I do know enough to know that that's a lot of fucking money. Maybe not nowadays, but back in 1997, I was looking at other movies at the time, and the closest movie I could think of to this came out in 99, and it's Phantom Menace. And Phantom Menace had a budget of $110 million, so only $5 million more. And all the other movies that came out in the 90s had like, $50 million budgets, $40 million budgets, $60 million budgets. But they didn't have, the movies that had like $50 million budgets didn't have as much CGI as this movie did, so it's understandable. But where the fuck how did they pitch Starship Troopers to the fucking executives? Or I don't know how it works, but that's my best guess. And end up with $105 million to shoot this dumbass movie. And, the movie, in my opinion, I tried to give it the benefit of the doubt because I feel like this is the type of movie that might have a cult following, but it's really bad. Like the actors, they got some hot women in this movie, so that brings it up a notch. But the movie itself is shitty. Now, maybe I was a little too hard on it at the beginning, and I tried to put on some rose tinted glasses, and I'm gonna give this movie some flowers right now. The CGI in this movie is pretty good. The CGI in this movie came out 2 years before Phantom Menace, and it takes a big, fat, heaping, warm, steaming shit on the CGI in the Phantom Menace Star Wars movie. The CGI in this movie is actually, for the time, in my opinion, very, very good. What else is good about this movie? Very good gore. When the people die from the bugs, I feel like people are actually getting ripped apart by insects. So the gore and the CGI in this movie were very good and well executed for the time. That's the most I can give this movie because the plot is stupid. There's 5 other movies, which is just fucking pack it in, mate. Too many movies. So, yeah, that's my final review. If I had to give this, I usually I do a 1 to 10 rating, and I would give this, like a good movie for me would be like an 8 and above, or like a 7.5 and above. This movie is probably a 5.8, and the only thing that brings it into the 5s is the CGI and the gore. Otherwise, the plot itself is probably a 3.2. But I'm going to give this a 5.8 on the Matt Marauder scale, movie review wise. And yeah, that's the movie review. You're welcome.